Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
Hey, I'm doing great. Life is awesome. Got some, great gaming stuff going on, awesome sports stuff. Christmas is just around the corner. I mean, it is truly the most magical time of year. How about you, man? Are you in the holiday spirit yet?
Oh yeah. I'm one of those people. I absolutely love Christmas. I love the lights, the decorations, obviously the presents, the food. It's the one time of year I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna eat whatever I want, treat myself. But I just love that this whole time of year. It's magical. Uh, I still feel like as I was when I was a kid when it comes to Christmas.
Same.
I've just
Yeah.
always loved it, and maybe it's because I'm like a I don't know, somewhat positive person. I think it's just there's nothing really else like it. People seem more relaxed and all that stuff. No snow yet, but I think that'll happen. But man, what a wild 2 weeks! And we didn't have a show last week because I got massively sick. Logan was busy, and it just didn't work out. Now, for people that are watching live, all of the streaming software has completely changed without me knowing about it. So if the audio's coming through great, just let me know in chat. Because again, this whole thing looks different to me. It might as well be wrote in like Matrix code or something. Um, since the whole last podcast we had, John Cena had his last match at the wrestling. Absolutely atrocious how they did it. I don't really normally talk about wrestling on the channel because game and focus stuff. But while people are coming into the show, I might as well mention it because I stopped watching wrestling 20 years ago, and that's when John Cena was like getting into his own thing, and they retire him like that. I'm gobsmacked. Like, why would they do that? They retired him to a jobber that no one really like sees as a main star. I don't know. Maybe things are different now. Maybe people see Gunther as like this huge, like future big wrestler, but he's pushing 40 and he's been called like one of the best of all time. I don't see it. Chops across the chest is not wrestling to me. Uh, but that's it for today's wrestling segment. Maybe I'll talk about it later. But anyway, it's been a busy 2 weeks. Logan, what have you been playing?
Yeah, I've been all in on Um, Total Chaos. Been playing that a lot. Man, that game's a trip, let me tell you. And like there's a lot of like secrets to get like a certain ending or not, and like you go back and make some different decisions or fight bosses differently, or find these items you didn't see the first time. So I've been playing through that, really enjoying it. And Baldur's Gate 3, since I got my character back, it's been like mind blowing going back and relearning all that and playing through it. That's been great. Have been after the altars had its big update that just happened. This was actually going to be a topic on one of the previous episodes that never happened because you were sick and I had something going on, and but there was a big update for the altars, which added relax mode, which is something I had requested for the people like me who are survivally challenged at some games,
Yeah.
like for crafting and maintenance and stuff like that, who just want to experience the story and the action elements and really are just not good crafters or finders and stuff. And it's been awesome. Like I'm wrapping up the big middle act on that right now, and then I'm about to jump into routine as well, which looks awesome. And I love space, sci-fi, horror, throw it all together, just perfect. So I've been doing those, and then like I said, sports stuff, family stuff, and watching Pluribus, which is great. Another sci-fi nod. Apple Plus is like undefeated when it comes to like sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
Like it's incredible. Just a tangent. Like, if y'all have Apple Plus and you like sci-fi and haven't seen some of their stuff, go check it out. It's really, really good. And so been doing those, and yeah, just reinvigorated during the holiday, and some of the stuff at the Game Awards in particular, we will talk later, and those were just like a shot in the arm for me. How about you, man?
Yeah, before I get into what I've been playing, I'll mention this now. During the show, we're going to go over every single game that was announced at the Game Awards. Mostly the ones that are coming to Xbox. Unfortunately, most of them are, including some I never even thought would ever come to a console, which was very nice. Yeah, I've played all sorts. I did play a bit of Routine. I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm going to make it through. I
Heart attack.
honestly, like, for people that don't know, I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to horror games. Like, I admit it. Alien Isolation is one of my favorite games of all time, but that game was awful for my heart. Right? I made it through the entire game. I'm happy I did. I love that game clearly, but like, there's something about when you, especially in first person, I've noticed. When you have this enemy that's unrelenting that you can't destroy, and it's coming for you all the time. I just can't take it. I'm going to try, but man, that game has been in development for 13 years. 13 years. Made by, I think it's either one person or just a very small team, but and as of now, it's one of the highest rated games of all time on Steam.
That's
Crazy.
impressive.
Yeah. So like the developer, thankfully they're having some good success, and that game's art style is beautiful. It's like, it's gritty, it's grimy, but it's realistic. Something about it just really works. If people like that Alien Isolation style game or Outlast, that type of thing, you're gonna love this. It is very much that kind of game.
The
Um,
70s sci-fi era kind of lived
yeah,
in, but future.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much lived in futuristic 70s future stuff, and it just works. It really works for horror. Um, but I've been playing that. I actually finished the Silent Hill 2 remake. Wow, that game was incredible. Now, I did play the original like 20 years ago, but I don't really remember much of it. I remember certain boss fights, certain cutscenes, but like, I don't really remember the story or anything really. Um, Man, what an incredible game! It took me about 14, I want to say 14 hours, like 1 minute to finish, and honestly, it might be one of the best games ever made. Right? Uh, Everything about it, soundtrack, graphics, performance, story, just the world design, everything about it was basically perfect. And as someone that like dabbles in horror, I like horror, but I'm a scaredy cat. I think this was just on the edge of being doable for me, because the hairs were standing on the back of my neck. I was on the edge of my seat throughout the whole game, but I was compelled to finish it, and it was just great. And Konami, they've knocked it out of the park with these remakes. They clearly know what they're doing. And I think that if you're looking forward to like future Konami remakes, you're set. Like, they are going to be on a roll for a long time. But man, it's incredible. Now the game does have I think it's 7 or 8 endings. It turns out I got the worst one.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I completely forgot about how the endings worked in the original. So like, I went throughout the entire game and basically destroyed every enemy I see, and that really affects the ending. And to get all the achievements in the game, you have to get every ending, and it's nothing like, you can't pause the game and go back and like, go to a previous save and get that ending. You can't do that in Silent Hill. You just can't. You have to play through the whole game from start to finish to get specific endings, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And the game has extreme replayability. Like, I can see myself going through this in the future, getting through all the endings. There's some like funny endings as well that are comical, which I won't spoil for people. But man, just a great game overall. Logan, did you play that yet by any chance?
I have not. I bought the bundle that launched with Silent Hill 2 and F like both of them for like a good price off. So I plan on diving into both of them, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, it's I think what they've done with the game is really cool because they launched it at, I think it was like 44 pounds or something. And it was 50% off day one. Basically the same thing happened with Death Stranding. I think that is a really good way to get people on board with a once timed exclusive game, because some people don't like the fact these games come later. Unfortunately, contracts are a thing. They do have to do these things. But like, I think it's a good way to get people on board. I mean, hell, Death Stranding's been called a FedEx simulator for years, and that game was number one. So like, it's a good way to get people on board straight away. I assume that's what's going to happen with Stellar Blade in the future. And we've got news about other PlayStation exclusives coming to Xbox this week, actually, which is really cool. But yeah, I've been playing that. I've been playing some Arc Raiders. People don't really care about when I talk about multiplayer, but it's just a really fun game. Like, I don't dig multiplayer or PvP like I used to. I was big into PvP like 12, 13 years ago. And ever since, I don't really care anymore. I don't enjoy it as much. And Arc Raiders is just so much fun. There's these huge robots out in the wild, which are the big threat. They are the big draw to the game. And you can be double crossed by other players. You can make friends with other players. And it occurred to me recently, like, why this game is resonating with so many people. Back when I'd say Call of Duty was at its peak, or PvP was at its peak with, Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, all through Black Ops, Battlefield 3, Bad Company 1 and 2. Everyone was always on open mics, right? People were talking to other players and they weren't in parties. But with this, after like over a decade of people doing parties, because like I could go into a Call of Duty lobby and I never ever see people like just talking to randoms. But in Arc Raiders, it kind of encourages you. And there's trash talking, there's people being nice. I've been double crossed, I've triple crossed people because I knew they were going to double cross me. And it just takes me back to like 2009, 2010 Call of Duty open lobbies, which is really nice. And like, Logan, I know you don't really care about multiplayer, but like, is there anything about like Arc Raiders that sounds remotely interesting to you?
I mean, it sounds fun for what it is. I and like I said, I like the art style. I like that it's doing well. The whole idea of like triple crossing, double crossing, alliances versus factions, and then big robots in the middle, and it sounds cool. It's not something I'll be diving into, but I'm glad y'all are having a good time with it.
Yeah, and like the thing about Arc Raiders and extraction games, it's it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot for people to take in and get to learn, because like every time I've heard like even the big streamers and like big content creators talk about Arc Raiders for the past or even extraction games for the past several months that I've never played them, they talk about them like they are battle royale games. You land on a map with a circle that shrinks over time, blah blah blah. People get what a battle royale game is, but with extraction games, it's nothing like that. Like, it's not even in the same ballpark. And now that people have played Arc Raiders and they played the tech test and they know what it is, people have had a taste and they're wondering what's next. Now we have snow in the game. For people who haven't played yet, there's like a snow event that's going on. There's also a new XP thing where you can actually get. And by the way, this game does this perfectly. We live in a world where all these games have microtransactions, battle passes, and people are kind of really sick of it. I think Arc Raiders actually has the best monetization model ever. Right? It's a semi-premium game. I think it was like $39.99 in dollars, and there are skins you can buy up front. And there's a thing that kind of works like a battle pass. It's called a raider deck. And basically, you play the game, you get points, and you buy things such as cosmetics and items for the game, such as keys for certain doors and stuff. But they do these events like maybe once or twice a month where you can actually earn premium currency just by playing, not grinding or anything, just by playing. And maybe after 1 or 2 months, you could buy a premium skin, right? So if you are playing a lot of this game, you want a really cool look, you can buy something up front. But if you're like me and you're playing casually, I'm going to be able to buy a premium skin in, let's say, a couple of days. And I think that's really cool because, again, people are getting sick of monetization practices in 2025. And this does it right. And I just want to, give the game some credit because people keep talking about how great the game is. Nobody's really talked about the monetization of the game. They could have slapped £70 on this or $70, seen what happens. Originally it was going to be a free-to-play game, but then you have even worse monetization practices. But the way they've done it in this, yeah, it's right. It's right. And we've talked about this a bunch, Logan, how like a lot of the big games this year weren't full price.
Yeah,
All.
we have talked about that a lot, and it's been a good trend. Like, Expedition 33 obviously is its own topic. That one, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, just several other prominent games that were cleaned up shop at the awards were all less priced games.
Yeah. And maybe this is some hopium going on. I think in 2026 we're going to see developers kind of, and maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I think in 2026 we're going to see developers kind of shift from this, hey, AAA game has to be $70 model, because the proof is in the pudding. These big games this year, they are selling for less than $70, right? You look at things like Mafia: The Old Country. I think that was $50, somewhere in that range, and like, people saw that and thought, wow, that is actually really fair for this big AAA first-person action-adventure game. And yeah, it is a 12 to 20-hour game, depending on how you play it. But people saw value in that. They saw the price. And they're like, you know what? That's worth it. Like, Arc Raiders cost £34. And I can see myself putting thousands of hours into this over the next couple of years. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. But yeah, Arc Raiders has been a bunch of fun. And yeah, let's get into all the juicy topics because, again, we have about 13 topics this week. A lot of good news. Some good news that literally broke just before the show went live, which is very nice. You know what? We'll talk about the Marathon stuff now because we've been talking about Arc Raiders. So, Marathon, people know what's going on. It's Sony's, or well, should I say Bungie's, extraction game, right? And people have been wondering what's going on. Bungie hasn't been in the best state for a long time. They've had controversy after controversy with the stolen art, stuff like that. I'm not going to go into everything, but they've had a rough time. Destiny 2, they haven't had the best how should I say it, growth when it comes to like their player numbers, because that's a free-to-play game now. They rely on microtransactions. They put out expansions every couple of months, and apparently the past few haven't taken off. And I think the problem is with Bungie is that, Destiny 2 is one of the hardest games to get into because of how the story works. You're basically thrown into the deep end and just hope for the best, right? And like some games, some MMOs in the past, where they actually sunset content where you can't play everything that's in the game. That's a detriment to the game as well. So, like, if you're Bungie, you got to be wondering, like, how do we like have some success? Because, like, by the way, Destiny has some of the best gunplay of all time, ever. Absolutely, just fantastic first-person combat. But like, they can't be getting new players on board. Whereas things like Division, you can pretty much buy Division whenever and have fun. Same with these other games. But Destiny, they haven't had the best luck. And you have Marathon coming out now, confirmed for March, and I think they said it's going to be $40, which I think is actually a fair price. And now people are looking at this thinking, how's it going to compete against Arc Raiders? Now, this is going to surprise people, because there's a lot of Xbox people that are thinking like, oh, I'm gonna hate on the game, I'm gonna bash the game, and like the truth is, I've been rooting for Marathon since it was announced. For people who've been following me for a while, you'll know that I always talk about Escape from Tarkov and how that's never coming to console. It is now. It's coming eventually now, but I never thought in a million years Escape from Tarkov would come to console. So I've been rooting for Marathon. Sci-fi Tarkov style game. I am all for it. And people are just like hating on this game all of a sudden. Yeah, they had the stolen art thing, which is obviously a big problem. But I look at Marathon and think this is actually going to have a better chance of success now, simply because Arc Raiders is popular. People know what an extraction game is now, right? Whereas if you go back 6 months ago, people didn't know what an extraction game was. If you were on PC, you knew what one was. If you were on console, you had no idea, right? So, to me, I think the game looks like it could be really fun. They said that there's going to be a solo player queue, so you don't have to go up against teams. You can go up against solo players, which is great. They're putting in proximity chat, which is, if you played Arc Raiders, you kind of really want that in the game. So, good steps in the right direction. I just think, they have to have a hook. Because the hook of Arc Raiders is, look, there's other players trying to get loose, but there's these massive robots out in the wild, and you have to try and survive. Well, that's why people play that game, really. And, the community-focused stuff. Whereas in Marathon, what is the hook for Marathon? We don't really know. Because a lot of people are calling it this generic first-person shooter. And, by the way, I actually think the game looks good. Right? I like the style. Maybe it's because I'm into synthwave. And I like all that neon-colored stuff. But, like, it looks like they're going to be fighting an uphill battle, but I think a lot of people will get into this simply because, Arc Raiders is huge. People know what it is now. Like, Logan, you don't really care an ounce about extraction games, but, like, what's your take on Marathon coming out in March, being a $40 game, and it's maybe battle against Arc Raiders?
I thought 40 was a bit steep for myself,
Yeah.
but again, I'm as someone who's not interested in this genre, take that for a grain of salt. I just I don't know, I think it does have an uphill battle, but in their corner they do have their legacy of making amazing gunplay and, sci-fi experiences. And Bungie's pedigree is still really good. Even if, Bungie now is not, Bungie then, just like, kind of BioWare vibe, but not
Yeah.
entirely. Um, it's still somebody you're like, all right, yeah, I'll see what you're doing. But, on one hand, I think Arc Raiders being out is like, woo boy, you've got, the 1,000-pound gorilla in the room just looming, gonna tear you apart if you take a misstep. But on the other hand, competition is good. And it could be good for Arc Raiders and make it where Arc Raiders don't rest on their laurels and they keep improving and making stuff.
Yeah.
It could be that this game entering the marketplace makes itself better and it goes, okay, this is what people are liking with Arc Raiders. And like you said, what is our hook? What gets us into it? Is it the synthwave kind of vibe? Is it like we add some new abilities or mechanics that are kind of unorthodox to gameplay? Or like, events? Or like what exactly do they do that makes it like I must play both of these versus I'm already in Arc Raiders. Why would I jump over and try this too? So at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. I'm not the most optimistic for it, but I am more optimistic than I was a few months ago for it. So good luck, Bungie, and I'm curious to see how it does.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like Bungie, they fight an uphill battle, and like they are up there with one of those studios like BioWare, right? BioWare, one of the most renowned developers in the world, and they've had a couple of misses, and it's like I honestly believe if the next Mass Effect, by the way, I can make any topic about Mass Effect somehow. That's my X-Men ability.
Your
Any topic,
check's in the mail.
yeah,
Don't worry.
any topic I can make it somehow about Mass Effect. But like BioWare, like if they have one more dud, they're done. They are done, and I think that's the same with Bungie. You know, like Destiny 1 was huge, absolutely huge. Destiny 2, huge at launch, but like I never hear anyone say like, oh, you know, I just picked up this new game I've never played before called Destiny 2. Right? It's the one game I never hear about that. Like in my feed, I have people saying like, oh, you know, I've just started Assassin's Creed, Origins, right? 10 years later, and they're enjoying it, right? Like, look, in your feed, do you ever see anyone mention Destiny 2?
The only thing I saw about Destiny 2 recently was someone basically making a comparison that they tried some new Star Warsian type, mechanics or abilities or some stuff in it, and it just wasn't vibing with them.
Yeah.
Like to me, it kind of looked like Timu Star Wars or We Have Star Wars at Home, like a knockoff lightsabers and some other stuff. But in general, no. I haven't seen Destiny except for people to say that they wish they had the content, all the content, instead of it getting vaulted and then you can't have access to it again. And wishing that they would just stay the course with some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens, but look, if Bungie is smart, and I think they will do this, they're going to have a huge open tech test, right? I think that if they have a huge open tech test, like what happened with Arc Raiders, people will give it a shot. Like, people have been wanting, including myself, we've been wanting a solo, single player only PvE mode for Arc Raiders, right? Because sometimes you just don't want to be bothered with other people, right? You just want to be immersed in the world, and they created a really, really immersive world. And like maybe that'll happen at some point, we don't know. But I honestly think that Bungie's best bet for Marathon, if they put in a single player mode, right? No other players, you just fight against AI controlled enemies. I think they'd actually have a hit, right? Because one of these extraction games on console, they will have a PvE only mode at some point, and they will be huge for that specific thing. I think that has to be Marathon's hook at some point, because other than that, what you're going to play? First person shooter with synthwave vibes, which I love myself some synthwave, or this other game with massive robots. Like gamers like fighting robots. That's just a fact. But hey, we'll see what happens. And look, if I get into the future open beta or whatever, I'll post gameplay as well. Now, this is going to be some good news, and I think Logan's going to like this news because he doesn't know this. And I think people listening that don't really care about multiplayer are really going to like this topic. So about a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago, a game was announced called Terminator Survivors. And this was meant to be a co-op / PvPvE Terminator survival game. Third-person shooter. And as I just said that, I swear I heard people's eyeballs roll. Right? Because it seems like we have a million games like that. Well, the developers basically haven't said anything about the game for about 2 years. We got the concept art, we had the cover. You've been able to pre-order this, by the way, without seeing any gameplay, for 2 years, right? Which is never usually a good sign. Well, anyway, the developer put out an update today that they completely reworking the game, and they have a slightly different vision because internally they didn't like how the multiplayer turned out. So this multiplayer / co-op Terminator game, third-person shooter, is no longer PvP. It's no longer co-op. It's a single-player, story-driven Terminator survival game where you basically fight in a world where Skynet has taken over, and there's the game kind of hints that there's only one one T-800 on the map, but it's basically invincible. This is meant to be set early on in the human resistance where we don't have laser rifles yet. And I think this is the best outcome for the game, because when it was first announced and I saw multiplayer, I was just done, right? I love the Terminator franchise. I don't want a multiplayer Terminator game. Well, it's going to be single player. So I'm happy. Logan, what do you think? Because again, you don't like multiplayer, but this once PvP/PvE Terminator game is full on single player now.
That's great news. I'm excited for it. Like, I'm all for more Terminator games and like bring on the 80s, 90s, early 2000s sci-fi renaissance. Just like all these iconic characters getting licensed out and making great games again. Like, super excited for it. It sounds great. I'm glad that they're leaning back into single player instead of multiplayer. It feels like we've almost hit a retread where you remember during the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy and like end of the 360, start of the Xbox One, where there was like all this pigeonholed and shit force fed multiplayer modes for
Oh yeah,
games.
yeah,
And it was just like, what? Why would I buy Tomb Raider for multiplayer? Like, on what planet am
yeah,
I?
yeah,
Is that the selling point for Tomb Raider? You're, you know, awesome heroine, and she's going around guns blazing or bow and arrow, finding cool artifacts and solving puzzles and mysteries and parkouring like crazy. Like, I would never think, you know what? I want Call of Duty, a side of Call of Duty with my Tomb Raider. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm glad that they're revisiting this.
yeah. I mean, look, I bet everyone listening to this right now and people that listen to it after the show ends, could you really be excited for a Terminator co-op PvP/PvE survival game? I'm guessing not, right? Single player though, where you have this third-person shooter where you have this unstoppable T800, where you have to hide sometimes, and that's one of the parts of the game where you have to actually hide from the T800, which I think is super cool. You're gonna have hunter killers in the sky. It's gone from a game which I just roll my eyes at to something I'm now actively looking forward to because, again, it's single player, which is really cool. And like you mentioned, the tacked on multiplayer thing, like Tomb Raider, like you said, I played that Tomb Raider PvP thinking, what is this going to be like? And I just rolled my eyes afterwards thinking, what is this? Like, it's just a generic PvP game. For a game where you meant to go into tombs and find relics, like that made no sense. Like Dead Space, I think it was Dead Space 2 or 3 had a tacked on PvP mode as well. Didn't BioShock 2 have that as well?
Yeah, it was so random.
Yeah, I don't get that. I think shocker to no one, and yes, I'm biased. Mass Effect 3's multiplayer works.
It's the one exception, of course.
Yeah, it's the one exception. It works, but my God, I love that multiplayer. But most of the time, it was just bad. But yeah, thankfully, we are moving away from this. Like, everything has to be PvP, PvE, like. And by the way, can we get past the whole we have to call everything co op PvE? Can we stop doing that? you know, I hate that. I post about a co-op game that's coming out on Twitter, and people reply saying, "Oh, so it's PVE." Oh, I grind my
Yeah,
teeth.
that's a trigger phrase for me. I don't like that expression. Just like if I hear MMO, I'm instantly, all right, turn off the stream
Yeah, like
or mute the stream.
there's a big difference between like people have been telling me that Gears of War Horde mode is PVE. Stop it, right? We don't have to lump in these terms with everything. Bit of a tangent. But yeah, Terminator Survivors is coming out next year by the looks of it, but that is a near-con title. I'm sure it'll be good. Oh, and another thing, it's not going to launch in early access. They said they want the whole game to launch at once, finished, which we shouldn't have to praise at this point, but we kind of do because too many games come out in a bad state or early access, and I don't particularly have a problem with early access, but some games just never leave early access, like Valheim. right? I was so excited for Valheim when that came to Xbox. It's still in early access. It's been in early access, I think, for like 5 years. Might be a little bit longer than that. And it still looks like a
That's
Nintendo
great,
64
actually.
game.
This one.
They haven't upgraded the graphics. Um, I have been playing Jump Space, which is in early access, but they have a complete roadmap for that game, and it looks like it's actually going to be a finished product, which is really cool. But yeah, just thought I'd bring that up because again, I love Terminator, and we don't have enough games like that. Next up, we have
Nacon
Red
has
Dead
been on a
Redemption.
heater
Sorry,
lately.
what'd you say?
I was saying Nacon, that publisher, has
Yep.
been on a real heater lately with, Terminator, RoboCop, other stuff. They've been really, really getting good lately.
Oh yeah, and I like the fact that licensed games are kind of a thing again. You know, bring back 80s IP, 90s. I don't care. Just Alien, Terminator, basically anything. What my dream game is to have a third-person shooter Dread game set in a single tower. Will
Oh,
it ever
that'd be
happen?
intense.
Yeah, will it
Oh.
ever happen? Probably not. In fact, if I remember correctly, don't the developers of the Sniper Elite series own the game rights to Dread?
They might. I think Rebellion did do the one on the OG Xbox, didn't they?
Maybe. But either way, I hope we see something like that in the future. Now, since the last show, Red Dead Redemption finally got its native Xbox Series version. Hooray for everyone. And they had a bit of a mess up with the launch. So if you own the Xbox 360 version, you get the Xbox Series version for free. Now, that surprised me back when that happened, when they announced it, because I was thinking, why is Rockstar, of all companies, giving us a free upgrade? Like, it seemed a bit suspicious. Like, Rockstar, free? Something's not right. Anyway, the launch went a bit wrong because people weren't getting their free copies. For people that don't know, if you own it on 360, it was meant to show up on the store. The new version is just free, but it was showing up as 50% off for people instead. It took Microsoft and I was going to say Red Dead, but it took Microsoft and Rockstar a week to sort it out. And it looks like everyone now has their free versions. Like, Logan, did you get your free copy?
I have not. Like, I was actually surprised. I didn't own a digital copy of Red Dead 1. I had physical, so I didn't get a free offer.
They should have really done that for disc versions as well. Um, but that's Rockstar, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But and by the way, I predicted what I'm about to say 6 months ago. Actually, not even 6 months ago. 2 years ago. Um, they delisted the 360 version immediately.
Oh, yeah, they don't want people to get that, loophole upgrade.
Yeah. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, I think it is on sale for everyone at the minute, and I will say this: they did a fantastic job with the game. It still looks the same graphically, even though it does have listed in the description enhanced graphics. It's not enhanced graphics. It's 4K. It was already 4K on Xbox, but the big thing is 60 frames per second and native HDR. That is very nice. 60 frames per second on Red Dead, it just works. I'm not really how should I put it, a frames per second snob, right? If it plays good at 30, I'm good. Some people don't like it when I say that, but that's the truth. But honestly, it plays really nice at 60. And for people that maybe haven't started it yet, I've got a kind of a big tip for people. If you go to the graphics settings, turn HDR off, and then turn saturation up to 75%, and then turn HDR back on. You're welcome. Because Red Dead's always had this kind of washed out look compared to its official screenshots. But if you do what I just did, or just said, it actually looks like how it's meant to. So for some reason, it's kind of washed out by default, even though it's not meant to be. But people can test it out themselves. and like the sky is bright blue. The sand looks like sand. I'm sure Anakin Skywalker would love that. But yeah, it's fun, and if this is people's first time playing, Red Dead, they're gonna have a hell of a time. It's one of the best stories in video games, and hopefully we'll see the same treatment for Red Dead Redemption 2. Although I'm not holding my breath, even though we've had rumors for like 6 months about that. Anyway, we'll move on. You know what? We'll talk about this quickly. So, Fort Solis, the sci-fi third-person action-adventure game by... I'm missing the developer at the minute, but basically, Troy Baker and Roger Clark voiced the main characters in this game. It launched on PlayStation exclusively, I think, 2 years ago. It looks super cool. And obviously, I'm biased because I absolutely adore sci-fi. It's coming out to Xbox on the 19th, which I didn't see coming. So that's another PlayStation timed exclusive, which is great. I'm guessing that'll come to Switch too at some point when they've done all the optimization and stuff. But I was hoping this would come to Xbox, and yeah, it's just launching in a couple of days. Logan, did you keep up with this title at all?
Yeah, this is one that I've had my eye on for a while. It launched on PS5 and I was like, well, should I just go ahead and get it then? When I on my PS5 and I waited. I picked it up on a deep sale on Steam at one point, but now that there's going to be a native Xbox version, I'm very excited. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they do what Death Stranding and Silent Hill 2 did and they have a discount at launch, which would be great. They're smaller, so I'd say it's less likely they do that, but apparently the studio is called Falling Leaf Studio.
Ah,
So not exactly like a marquee, like major household name, but they've done good stuff and I'm looking forward to it. Always sign me up for more sci-fi horror and exploration, and Troy Baker's one of the best in the biz. So it should be a good time.
yeah, I think it will be interesting to see what this is like on Xbox because, like, price, that's a big factor. Um, will they do the whole 50% off thing? Because it wasn't really an expensive game to begin with, but hey, new sci-fi action adventure game, can't go wrong. Um, you know what? We actually have basically the big topics left because the next few are going to be long topics. Um, you know what? Let's talk about this now. So Jeff Keighley's Game Awards happened over the past few days, and honestly, I thought it was a really fun show. I know Jeff Keighley gets a lot of crap, right? He really does. Um, and a lot of people don't like how there's like the whole show. By the way, is just a marketing gimmick, right? If you tune into things like the Golden Joystick Awards, or let's say the BAFTA Game Awards, those shows, award shows, right? There's no new trailers for games, nothing like that. But the Game Awards, it's this big, fancy show, huge screen, all these effects, live orchestra, and it's a big event. But the whole event is basically funded by ads. And it's in December where ad revenue across the board on basically every website is at its highest. And that's why we don't have the Game Awards in like January or February, to include all games. It's because of ad revenue. But people mainly watch for the trailers. And we'll get into the trailers in a minute. But it was a good show. I enjoyed it. It was around, 3 hours? And it had about a 30-minute, pre-show where they had some games announced and also some awards. That's the big sticking point for me. If you're an award show, shouldn't you have all of the awards announced during the show on stage? And people have brought up, like, wouldn't it be like a 5-hour show then? It's like, okay, don't show trailers the way you do, right? I don't need to have 50,000 new trailers to watch an award show. You're just going to have less viewers. And that's the predicament to be in, right? That less people tune in, all that stuff. But anyway, before we get into all that stuff, because again, this is going to be a super long topic, if you're enjoying the show, we've had a week off. YouTube, it's an amazing website, but sometimes it changes its software and how notifications go out, and it's changed everything on my end. So if you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. The likes do actually help with the algorithm and all that stuff. And if you want to support the channel with super chats, all that's live. I'll read stuff out, answer questions, whatever you want. It all gets funded back into the channel. Anyway, it was a long show, and Expedition 33 cleared house. I think it's the most nominated game of all time at the Game Awards. It won almost every single category it was up for. And, it was cool to see the developers just be surprised by how they were, getting so many awards. Because it did kind of get awkward at one point where, like, they went up like 5 times. It reminded me of that meme of Taylor Swift holding like the 8 Grammys, It was kind of like that for them because that is a big statue or a big trophy. And I think they definitely earned it. People have said that they shouldn't have been up for best indie game, but too many people have in their minds that an indie game means pixelated 16-bit game made by one dude in a garage. That's not the case, right? It just means independent, that the game didn't have a big publisher. That's literally it. And it definitely fits the bill, I think it won best score, which it definitely deserves. Best art style, that could be up for debate. I think it's a beautiful game. It's a very unique look with its painted looking world. And it won Game of the Year, right? Out of everything that was nominated there, it was either going to be that or Hollow Knight. In my opinion, Expedition 33 winning the awards it did, it earned them. So like for me, it was a good show when it comes to the awards. And yeah, we're going to go through every single announcement because that's what people are there for. Is the game good? Expedition 33 is fantastic. Like absolutely fantastic. Its soundtrack, its visuals, its story, its gameplay is reminiscent of Lost Odyssey. And for people that know me, I could talk about Lost Odyssey all day, right? You have turn-based combat with these action-based commands during combat. But in Expedition 33, it works for parrying and dodging. And it's just a really cool game, I talk about how gaming doesn't have enough fresh ideas. That game is definitely fresh, right? You have this French-style city, right, that's been whisked away to this alternate dimension where this paintress paints people out of existence by painting their age on a big tree, right, essentially. That's definitely fresh, The game, like, I won't go into any spoilers, but Logan, the way the first act ends alone had people's jaws on the floor.
Yeah, this Expedition 33 was one of the most emotionally impactful games I have ever played. Ever. It was just incredible. And the term gets thrown around so much now that frankly I think some people have lost sight of the meaning of it.
Yeah.
But this game really is a masterpiece. It is like just incredible. Like the art, the music, the character's journey, the ups and downs, the combat, the lore, the world building, the traversal, the art, like the costumes, like everything to the nth degree is just phenomenal. And this was their first game ever.
Yeah.
And like they got they got the music guy off some random server thing that has shut down since then. And like these were just a small team making this is just otherworldly. And Lost Odyssey, they said, was a huge inspiration for their game, along with classic Final Fantasy games. And you can clearly tell it's incredible. It's one of the 10 best games I've ever played. It's really, really, really good. and it absolutely deserved a clean shot. Won all but one award, which was sound design, to Battlefield 6, I think,
Yeah.
randomly. But on one hand, I'm kind of like, oh, come on, they almost cleaned shop entirely. But on the other hand, I mean, EA has always been known for having phenomenal, no matter what about gameplay, the sound and, you know, stuff in these Battlefield games and their shooters are always top notch. Like, just incredible. So I get it, but they deserved every award. And just like sports teams, franchises, other things, once you make it to the top, a whole bunch of people getting their feelings about it and then come after you about all kinds of stuff and are jealous and envious of their success and they're just being haters. It deserves all its praise and more. And on top of it, they had a mic drop and said, "You know what? I got one more for you." And they dropped a huge new load of content which is really cool. It I won't tell too much about it because it's spoilery, but basically it deals with some stuff related to one of the characters' past, and it's got a whole bunch of cool stuff, and adding that just is a chef's kiss on a beautiful night.
Yeah, they definitely deserved it. I've seen a lot of like infighting about the game winning. Like, come on, really? You know, like Hollow Knight had like look, Hollow Knight was so big when it came out. Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Steam crashed.
They
Right?
sell 7 million copies for a tiny little team.
Yeah, and they had huge success, and this game had an insane wave of hype. But like Expedition 33, people were playing this game that did not like turn-based games because I post about upcoming games, not just on YouTube but on Twitter. Right? People always reply to me saying I don't like turn-based. Right? I get it all the time. I don't want to play AA games. Right? This game's both of them. Right? It's a AA game and it's turn based, right? But people gave it a chance. Being in Game Pass obviously helped because there's less barrier to entry. But like in general, people that didn't like turn based games played it. They enjoyed it. You know, I don't understand how people can dislike turn based games because it's just a different kind of combat. You can actually sit back and play the game with one hand and eat a sandwich with the other. How's that bad? You know, um, but like the game did so well at launch, millions of players. Look, it had people from Square Enix question whether they should do turn-based Final Fantasy games again. you know, so people clearly bloody liked the game. Um, excuse me, my mouse died for a second there. Um, but like people clearly liked the game. People love the art style and stuff, and yeah, it's an indie game, right? So it deserved all the awards it got. And like you mentioned the sound design thing, I've got to give it to Battlefield, even though I don't like PvP anymore. Not really. Battlefield 6's sound design is impeccable, right? Battlefield has always had great sound design. Probably the best sound design when it comes to a shooter. So yeah, that makes sense. But it was just crazy to see them basically clear house as much as they did. You know, it kept showing you the reactions from other developers and other actors and stuff, and like uh, what's the name? Jennifer English won Best Actress. Um, I
Oh
think
yeah, every game should hire her.
yeah,
Guaranteed success.
yeah. Someone pointed out how she she voiced in Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring as well. So like, put her in a game, instant game of the year. Um, I do wish they would put Best Actor and Actress in though.
Agreed. And supporting actor and
Yeah,
actress. 'Cause there's some characters that are memorable in these games that don't have a huge role, but are incredibly impactful.
yeah. And like, as much as I want to say, like, Brian Cox or Ben Starr deserve an award as well, I think Troy Baker should have won something for Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, he was impeccable. That's why I think he got hosed with the when that game came out. Because I don't know, but the lady who did I think Melina Jurgens who did Hellblade 2, she obviously deserved it as well. She's incredible.
Yeah.
Only two-time winner at the awards for this type of thing. But yeah, he did an incredible job. I thought he was Harrison Ford at times.
Yeah. Hopefully they change stuff in the future. Like, there's a lot of different awards they could add. Best DLC, best remaster and remake. That has to be
Yeah, and
there.
horror games get shafted big time.
Yeah, the thing is, this year's been amazing for horror games. There's so many out and nothing. And like, you have things like best MMO. Like, why not best horror? Why not, like, I don't know. You have different genres of games. Why not have awards for them? That doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Like,
we have streamer coach nephew roommate award or whatever. So it's just like whatever.
yeah, and the reason why those esports awards don't make sense is because the Game Awards celebrates games and people that work on them. The esports stuff doesn't make any sense because these are people that play games, right? So, like, best esports team, what's that got to do with the game? Nothing. Like, best esports coach, I'm sorry, am I supposed to care? Like, it's just it's nonsense. But hopefully, look, the show's improved over the years. Hopefully, they continue to improve it. And by the way, Logan, I've asked you this 2 years in a row now. I'm going to ask you a third. Is the Muppets huge in the US still?
It must be on somebody else's timeline because on my timeline, I don't hear a peep about them except for when the Game Awards come around. Like, and maybe I'm in the minority, but I was never a Muppets guy to begin with. I always just thought they were kind of just janky and weird. But I know there are people who love them, and I'm happy for them, but they have never been my thing. And so I have always thought it was weird that he has a thing for it. But hey, respect the hustle. If he likes him so much, he's got a platform. Give him some love. Like, I get it, but as someone who's not a fan of him, I'm always like, oh boy, here's another one of these segments.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, Muppets weren't really huge here. Like, Kermit the Frog was, and, like, Muppet Treasure Island and Muppets Christmas Carol, but that's it. That's where it ends, right? And I tune into the Game Awards every year, and there's, Jeff Keighley talking to a Muppet. I don't get it. I don't get the connection, or the gamer connection. Like, I just don't see it. But other than that, I thought it was a really fun show, and it did seem slightly shorter than previous ones. And the ads, by the way, the ads didn't seem as egregious. In the past, you've had a dude dressed up as a Gillette shaving blade. Like, it's a bit on the nose, or like dude wipes. Like, I can't believe that's a brand over there. Wow. But all in all, fun show. But let's be honest, people were tuning in for the game announcements. Now, I wrote down basically every game that was announced that's coming to Xbox, because basically everything that was announced there is coming to Xbox, or it's times. There's some PC only stuff which we'll get into. Let me pull up this list. My God, that's the thing about me. I use the Notes app on my phone basically more than anything else. It's the best thing ever. Right, we got a brand new trailer for Pragmata. Showcased the story, more elements related to the child and the AI stuff, because in this game, the whole world's kind of ran by it. One of my friends actually did play the demo recently, and he said it's amazing, so I trust him on that. The second game that was shown off there, which surprised me that this wasn't the final game, because there's a lot of good games here, which, again, we're going to go over all of them, was Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic. Now, for people that are watching live or later, you'll notice that Star Wars KOTOR 3 is in the title, because Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic would take up all 100 characters, essentially. This game, I never thought would see the light of day. It didn't leak at all. It surprised everyone. And the second that ship lands, I was thinking, okay, this is definitely Star Warsy. And then you see this huge ship sticking out of the sand right off in the distance. I knew immediately this was KOTOR because that is the Leviathan from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1. And then the title shows up, Fate of the Old Republic, and then I lost my marbles. Anyway, because this is a new Star Wars game, it's a new KOTOR game, but the lead of the game is Casey the Legend Hudson, who created the Mass Effect franchise, who made Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This is a huge announcement, and I'm surprised this wasn't the last thing because it was the biggest game there. I'd say it was the biggest game there. And again, we know that there's a Knights of the Old Republic remake happening at some point. But nobody on Earth expected a third game. 20 years later, and it gets even better. After the show ended, people start doing what they normally do. They start spreading these fake rumors that they've seen on Reddit. Someone will say something on Twitter and they'll say it's a rumor. I heard from someone, right? I hear this game's coming out in 2030, right? I never post any of this stuff, by the way, because all you have to do is backtrack rumors and see that it always originated from the same people doing the same thing, right? So Casey Hudson, and this is why this guy's a legend, he didn't have to post about it. They could have kept, we'll call it KOTOR, in the news even longer of people speculating why is it coming out in 2030. Well, anyway, Casey Hudson got on Twitter and said, yeah, it's not coming out in 2030. It'll be before then. I don't want to die of old age kind of thing, right? Legend. So everything so far, amazing. You have Casey Hudson, the creator of KOTOR, the creator of Mass Effect, coming back onto the franchise. I didn't see who the publisher was. I'll have to check. It might be a LucasArts game. I don't know, but
It is.
oh, okay, so it is. Perfect announcement. Absolutely perfect. Logan, I basically messaged you straight away saying that there's going to be something at the show that you like. I know you were happy with this announcement, right?
Oh my gosh. This was like the opposite of Mass Effect getting canceled on your birthday. This was
Yeah.
like incredible. This was like euphoric. Like, I get emotional just thinking about it. Like, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 are my favorite games ever. They're two of the best Star Wars stories ever, and I've been a lifelong Star Wars guy. And they're just so good. The characters, the lore, the worlds, like the exploration, like the light versus darkness, replayability. Yes, some of the, dice roll gameplay has not aged particularly great. I will admit that, but as somebody who grew up with them, they get grandfathered in. They're protected. I love them still, even to this day, like the gameplay. But just to finally get the third one that we always wanted. I know there's Old Republic Online, there's the Revan book. Yes, I know that. And but still, like, effective for all intents and purposes, Knights of the Old Republic 3. This one is set way in the future at the end of the Old Republic era, right before the High Republic sounds like. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they go and what all they do with this. But like, if I may, and like do a deep dive into the trailer, there were certainly some tie-ins to the original games. You've already mentioned one of them. That make it clear like this is set in the same timeline of things. Like, even if it's way down the line, it still calls back to those. Like, you have Darth Malak and Sol Tarsis flagship, the Leviathan, in the background, just staring right at you. Whether it's that one or another Sith interdictor, cruiser, I don't know, but it's that type of vehicle. You get up closer to it, you see a Sith fighter sitting right in front to the left. in the wreckage, and there's also a Sith assault droid there as well. And it's just clearly this is, same, we're bringing, the story beats forward in some capacity. And I've been waiting 20 years for this. This is like Star Wars gospel. I am just so euphoric and so happy. And seeing Casey Hudson himself, who made all this possible, made the first game, started this whole journey, come back to finish what he started and to make this and get an awesome team together. It's just music to my ears, and I'm so glad he swatted that Shreer. Like, oh well, optimistically, 2030, you may see it then. And he's like, nah, fam. He's like, I ain't getting younger. This game's coming out before then. Don't worry. Move along. These aren't the droids you're looking for. I'm euphoric.
Yeah, I mean, oh, of course, we've got a fanboy in chat. Hi, Junior. My God. Before we get into the rest of the topic and like Star Wars again, like this is, I'd like to keep this podcast like super chill. Notice on my videos, I don't do fanboy stuff. I post upcoming games, Xbox topics and stuff, and you still get these little weaselly muppets. Just they can't help themselves, right? I don't do any console war stuff whatsoever, and people still get angry. Like I don't get it. Like my God, like go outside, please, touch grass, maybe go to a pub, speak to a woman. Oh man, depends on what you like. But like my God, why act like that? It's nearly Christmas, and people still act like this. It's so annoying. But yeah, KOTOR, like you said before the show went live, you think that might be Bastila.
Well, not Bastila, but like a descendant. I mean, her face was spitting image to
Yeah.
me anyway of her or Satine Sean you know, or maybe it's just meant to, harken back, but she definitely had Sean vibes to her.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get why people will be pessimistic when it comes to Star Wars games because they kind of get announced years in advance. Um,
Hmm.
Star Wars Eclipse, that game might be a 2028 at the earliest. Um, what Star Wars? Let's see, Star Wars Jedi Survivor 3. That is actually a game that's happening. Star Wars Zero Company, that was announced a year in advance. But yeah, I kind of get why people would be pessimistic because again, it's Star Wars. Star Wars is in a weird state at the minute. But to see Casey Hudson's name tied to it, and another reason why it made me happy is that for most people probably don't know this is that when Casey Hudson left BioWare, he started up his own studio and he pitched this game. It was a third-person sci-fi shooter RPG, right? So the creator of Mass Effect was essentially making a game Mass Effect fans would like. He couldn't get any publisher for the game, so the game got cancelled and the studio shut down. And I was heartbroken, right? I complain all the time about there being no hub world sci-fi shooter RPGs in the third person perspective. We just don't see games like that. The Mass Effect trilogy came out, and we got nothing afterwards. Nobody decided to think, hey, this trilogy's cool, we'll do something similar. No one did that. No one. And, nobody wanted to publish his game. Like, these publishers have to be mental. Like, why wouldn't you want to publish that? But, like, to see his name on KOTOR, that's going to take some getting used to, by the way. Couldn't be happier. So, yeah, the game is in great hands. And, I mean, look, him saying it's not going to be 2030, I'm going to be optimistic and think late 2027. Very
I have a
optimistic.
theory that I saw Maddie Plays put out, and I kind of agree with him. Have you seen his theory about why it might come sooner?
No, not yet.
Essentially, the game that he was working on, before that studio got shut down, it was his studio, his assets, his team's work, everything, and sci-fi already, RPG actiony. His theory is that they're gonna repurpose that and Star Wars it up instead of like adding Star Wars stuff
Yeah.
specific to it, and that should cut into the time if theoretically you had already spent years working on a project anyway. Not saying that's what's gonna happen, but if that were the case, I could definitely see the timeline moving up.
I mean, if it is like in other like previous Knights of the Old Republic games, you didn't have to play as a lightsaber user. You could use pistols if you wanted, right? Or vibro blades, right? Look,
Mm-hmm.
look at me. I'm a Star Wars nerd. I get it. But you could use those weapons. So maybe that's the case because again, that game he was working on was a third-person shooter. So I could totally see that being a thing. Totally. Um, hey, look, if that means I get the game earlier, like I'm all for it. The concept art doesn't like from what I saw a couple of years ago. The concept art doesn't fit Star Wars, but like you said, they could Star Wars things up a bit. Um, hey, yeah, I'm all for it. And again, that is one game, but hey, Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic. Now, it did say at the end of the trailer coming to PC and console. I have been asked multiple times, like, oh, will this be exclusive to any platform? Let's be honest. If you have Star Wars exclusive to your platform, you mention it. You really mention it.
This is
Uh,
going everywhere.
yeah, it's going everywhere, and it's probably a next gen game. We tend to see this where
Oh, for sure.
we tend to see this thing where next gen games will be announced without platforms announced, right? Remember Watch Dogs back in the day? That wasn't announced for any console. It was just announced, remember Star Wars 1313? Mate, rest in
Oh
peace.
man, pour one out.
Yeah. Oh my god, still sad about that one. But like that game, there was no platforms announced. So like to me, it's just the same scenario. It's just like if this was exclusive to PlayStation, they're gonna shout it from the rooftops. Like why wouldn't you do that? So yeah, it'll be on everything. It'll be on Switch 2, I'm guessing. And or Switch 3 by that point. Actually, there won't be a Switch 3 by then, but it'll be on everything: Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Hopefully, not an Epic Store game exclusive because that never ends well, But hey, such a good announcement. Again, I've been burned so many times by third-person sci-fi RPGs getting cancelled. This is a step in the right direction. And before I get into all the games, because again we have 27 more games to talk about. This game is one of like 4 upcoming hub world third-person sci-fi RPGs. You have Exodus, you have The Expanse: Osiris Reborn, you have Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic, and Mass Effect 4. So,
Golden age.
yeah, I'm giddy. Like, yeah, people have said these games are years away. I don't care. I'm getting them regardless. I'm sick and tired of this genre being empty. We need these games. And it still boggles my mind how no developer in the past 13 years has got, you know what? We should make a third-person shooter hub world sci-fi RPGs. No. We'll make everything fantasy. We'll make a fantasy game with dragons and trees and mountains because that's what we need
Sewer
more
rats.
of. Am I salty? Maybe. I'm in a good mood. It's Christmas time, but still, just thinking about it, like, can we get more sci-fi games? Thankfully, we have more to talk about. But anyway, that's Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic. We got a new trailer for was it Clive? Yeah, Clive Bark. Not Clive Bark. Oh my god, I'm getting everyone's names mixed up. Toxic Commando, which is a new first-person shooter zombie game made by Saber Interactive, and they make bloody good games, right? I love Saber Interactive. Every game they make is just fun. They don't load their games with stupid monetization practices. They are obsessed with making a cool game with a cool premise that's fun, like Space Marine 2. That game is phenomenal. Logan, I know this is a co-op zombie game, but does that interest you at all?
This one is a rare exception that I will have interest in because the dev, I have a lot of respect for Saber. Their work with World War Z has been phenomenal. Like that's one of the best ongoing games that no one really talks too much about
Oh yeah,
in big mainstream. Like really good. Like Left 4 Dead formula but extrapolated and different. So they've done that. Space Marine 2, which was one of my favorite games that of the year it came out. Phenomenal gameplay and story. Excited for Space Marine 3. And they're also, working on the KOTOR remake as well. And, Clive Barker's Hellraiser game. And just like, man, it's like Obsidian. It's like they have so many things cooking right now. It's wild. Oh, and Jurassic Park. Like,
yeah,
these guys are awesome.
yeah. They're making like 4 or 5 games at the minute, and Space Marine 3. Like, and by the way, you mentioned World War Z, like getting all this free content. Do you know they put out a tweet yesterday talking about more free content?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like these guys are it's like the Sean Murray, please I have money to give you Sean Murray for, content for No Man's Sky. It's like that. Like they're so good at what they do.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that game will be good. Next up, we got a trailer for Divinity, brand new game. Now, obviously,
Brutal.
uh, so like the trailer, I'll talk about the trailer quickly. There's things in the trailer which I was surprised to see on YouTube, like, like very risque. Which let me say now, as someone that posts about upcoming games on the channel, you will never see that trailer on this channel. Ever. But it was a super cool trailer. It was basically what that statue was Jeff Keighley's been posting about for the past 2 weeks. And this is Larian Games. It looks super cool. It's announced for PC, but that's what Larian does. So I assume this is going to come to console later. But look, it's going to be a cool game. They said it's going to be their biggest RPG yet. Uh, my biggest surprise was the reaction to the trailer, right? Not saying, wow, this is cool. Yeah, Divinity's coming back. People seemed grossed out by this CGI trailer to like what were people expecting? Like, fluffy bunnies and fairies, right? It's Larian. They're going to make a twisted trailer that gets people's attention. And guess what? It works. Like, if you love video games, come on. Right? Are we really going to complain about a trailer being too gory? It was a cool trailer, and I actually commend them for it. Like it was actually cool, you know. Um, Logan, I know you've been playing through Baldur's Gate 3 since you got your save back, but like, does this game take your fancy at all?
Oh yeah, 100%. I never beat the original Divinity or original Sin or Divinity 2. But I'm tempted to go back through them because this is kind of like Avowed, scratches an itch and
Yeah.
makes people go back and revisit Pillars of Eternity. So I might go back and revisit those. And on a side note, this is also set in the universe of Divinity Dragon Knight Saga, I believe,
Yep.
which was an older 360 game that they made, and it's backwards compatible as well. And it's so cool. It's like you play as this person and you find out they have the ability to shapeshift into a dragon, which obviously dramatically changes gameplay when you can do that. And then, when you're in human mode, and it's just, they're witty, they're good at dialogue. They make some really dark, sordid stuff, but also some heartwarming stuff. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that announcement where people complain about it being too gory? We talk about gamers all the time talk about censorship, right? And how like we shouldn't have these games censored. Isn't that game the epitome of like what we should be celebrating? you know, like they clearly didn't hold back in this trailer, so why are we complaining? You know,
I mean, Mortal Kombat trailers are like nasty for crying out loud, if you want to be honest. So, I mean, and people are fine with that. So, yeah, it's funny.
Although it does make me wonder how this game is going to release in Australia.
Or Germany or
Or
some of these other places. Yeah.
yeah. So, but hey, very cool trailer, and I assume that'll like come to console like their previous games. And by the way, if people are interested in their games, Divinity 2 Definitive Edition got a free next gen upgrade the other day. It's 4K, 60, all that stuff. I think it's got HDR as well. Yeah, that's completely free if you own it. Very cool. Hopefully they do the same for the Divinity 1. That would be nice. Let's see what we've got next. Okay,
Oh,
next.
and Jennifer English was also randomly in Divinity Original Sin as a chest, a sentient chest.
Of course she was.
I know, it's hilarious.
Jeez. But hey, that's available now if people want to play that. The next game that was announced was Ontos, which is a brand new sci-fi adventure game made by the developers of Soma. This game looked freaky in the best way possible. It kind of had this, like, I don't like calling all these types of games Bioshock, but I had this Bioshock vibe just from the tone, which I really like. It is going to be one of those more, I don't like calling it a walking simulator, but like Soma, a lot of it is just walking around. So like, I'm interested in this. That's also coming out in 2026. Logan, what did you think? Because again, they didn't show much, but it was a cool premise.
Oh, Frictional Games is one of those devs to where like I just see their name and I'm like, okay, I'm in. Like I really like what they've done. Like Soma was mind blowing game, especially once you had the big plot twist towards the end and like it completely changed how you viewed everything. And like that game and then they did, the oil rig game. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Just came out within the last year or two. Horror game, really good. And then everyone's gone to the Rapture. Like they make great stuff. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, that looked really cool, and I'm sure people. I have a prediction that'll come out like early on in the year, like next year, stacked as it is. But I don't. For some reason, I'm getting early year vibes from it. Let's see what we have. Next up, we got a new trailer for Resident Evil 9 Requiem. They finally showed off after the months of rumors. Leon Kennedy is back. People lost. Oh, okay, right. The name of the oil rig game was Still Wakes the Deep.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks for that, Big Dead 2099. Yeah, I loved that game, by the way.
Yeah, it was really good. The Scottish and
Yeah, it was. By the way, as someone that lives in like Durham, England, basically, if you go any further north, you're in Scotland. So it was just really nice to hear like genuine Scottish accents in a video game. I like that. And if people haven't played it yet, you have to play it. Really cool game. I want to say it's like a 6 hour-ish horror game.
yeah, and the DLC is good too.
Yeah. But yeah, very good game. So yeah, Resident Evil 9 Requiem, Leon Kennedy's back. People lost their minds in the crowd. Like, you could literally hear people screaming in the crowd. like, we knew he was going to be back. You know, there was some leaked concept art. But hey, he looks cooler than ever. Leon Kennedy clearly has a huge fan base. like there's some reactions I was just mind blown. Like people clearly are fans. But hey, Resident Evil, they've been on a roll for years now. It looks super cool, and that comes out in February. Next up, we got a brand new trailer for Exodus, which is another third-person, over-the-shoulder sci-fi action-adventure hub world RPG. And obviously, I'm interested. And this is also being made by ex-BioWare veterans. Very cool trailer, cool-looking combat, new worlds they showed. 2027. That was one of the biggest surprises of the show for me. I honestly thought this was going to come out in April because they have a compendium book out now talking about the universe. There's also a novel coming out in the next few months, and there's also a secondary compendium talking about the universe coming out in, I think, June next year. Typically, if a game developer releases a compendium talking about the game's universe, it releases within a few months of the game. No, not this. They want everyone to know everything about this universe before the game even comes out. And, Matthew McConaughey is going to be a voice in the game as well. It's one of my most anticipated games. I'm sure that surprises no one. But 2027, bit of a disappointment, but I can live with it. Let's see what we've got next. Warlock Dungeons and Dragons. That's coming out in 2027. We're getting a gameplay reveal in the summer. This game is also starring Trisha Helfer, who was from Battlestar Galactica. She played number 6. She was also in Chuck. The funny thing is, this CGI trailer is almost the whole thing is in first person, right? And I've read the description in the press release of the game. It's a third person action adventure game where you have magic. So I'm already sold on it. Sounds interesting. Screamer, which is coming out in March 2026. This is an anime story-driven racing game. Unique combination of genres, but it looks super cool. And we haven't really had a game like this before. Very cool, animated style. Very, I want to say 2010s anime. It has this sort of, I want to say Attack on Titan style when it comes to it, but with sci-fi. Logan, does that interest you at all?
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, very original. And I always talk about how, AAA gaming needs more original ideas. Well, you can't really get more original than, single-player, narrative-driven anime racing game. I commend them for it. So that comes out in March. Next up, we got a trailer for Control Resonant. This game blew me away because I knew this character looked familiar in the trailer. It showed you a person in a glass box on stage at the Game Awards. And I was like, this person, I've seen this person before. And it was the guy that plays Jesse Faden's brother from Control. And they are switching up genres again, which I didn't see coming. Because a lot of people just thought Control 2 was going to be Control 2 starring Jesse again. That's not the case. This is a third-person RPG, right? Set in a supernatural, how should I put it? Overridden, should I put it? Supernatural overridden New York. And you're going to have like all these supernatural abilities, supernatural weapons. Honestly, I didn't see the Alan Wake universe go in this direction, but I'm there for it. It looks super cool. A lot of people were talking about how the combat looks like Devil May Cry. Yeah, it kind of did when it comes to the hammer and stuff, but hey, I love Control. I love Alan Wake. I like the fact that like Remedy are clearly experimenting with their own universe with different genres, which I think is really cool. Logan, what do you think? Because like this is not what I expected from Control 2, but I love the idea of it.
Yeah, I mean, Remedy always cooks. Like, I'm day one for it. I love the Alan Wake universe. I love how they were basically able to kind of make a Timu version of Max Payne for this universe as well,
Yeah.
so that they could have him in the universe as well. And like, I know FBC Firebreak is its own thing, but I'm excited for this, and I thought it was really cool to see them trying an RPG mechanics and supernatural world in New York, and how it ties in with all the other games in their universe will be fun to see. And I trust Remedy. I really like what they do.
Yeah. It looks super cool, and that's coming out in 2026. They are cooking. Like, and the thing is, Max Payne, the remake of 1 and 2, that was originally slated to come out before Control 2. So there's a possibility we actually see Max Payne showing off in the next couple of months.
Hey,
Really?
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, they are remaking Max Payne 1 and 2 as a single game, which My God, that is just such a pleasure to hear because, like,
Oh, so like a Kill Bill, like
yeah,
director's cut. Like, okay, yeah.
yeah, and plus, I like look Max Payne remake. I'm sure it's going to be great, right? And Remedy, I'm putting it out there. They are one of the best developers. Their games
Yes.
are amazing. They just don't sell well. You know, Alan Wake 2 didn't help that it's Epic Store exclusive. By the way, I did notice the huge Steam logo in this trailer. It's like,
They learned their lesson.
yeah,
Good.
just don't put if you want to put stuff on Epic, cool, that's nice. Just don't put it exclusively on Epic, because I still get asked by the on maybe a weekly basis, is Alan Wake 2 on Steam yet? Like, I'm an Xbox guy. I cover Xbox, and even I have to know, like, oh yeah, it's not coming. But hey, Control Resonant, it looks super cool. Um, I do think that's probably going to be one of those games we get more footage from at a future Xbox partner preview, because Xbox has worked a lot with Remedy in the past, so we'll see. But hey, cool game, and I love Remedy. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, Gang of Dragon. This is a new game made by one of the creators of the Yakuza franchise. This is separate from Sega, different publisher, different developer. This game looks cool. Basically, photorealistic graphics. You can tell they had people from Yakuza work on this. There's something about it. The way the camera angles were, the way it just looks. It looked very Yakuza-y, if that's a word. This game's slated to come to PC at the minute. There's no consoles announced. Now, there's not a lot of information about this other than the fact that it's set in the entertainment district in Tokyo. And the reason why I think it's open world is because one of the gameplay images that's floating around lets you customize the color of your car. So that tells me we're going to be driving in the game, and it's probably open world. Now, if you tell me this is an open world Japanese action adventure game, I'm sold. That sounds like an amazing premise for a game. And as someone that's been wanting Yakuza to take that next step, this is a cool premise for a game. I'm sure this will come to Xbox. Logan, what do you think? There wasn't much to go off in the trailer other than the guy was an absolute unit destroying dudes.
I mean, this game has vibes. I'll 100% give it that. And it looks interesting, and I'll keep tabs on it.
Yeah, it looks super cool. Hopefully, we'll get more info soon. Anyway, let's see what we've got next. Oh, yeah. Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight got a brand new trailer that's coming out in May. This game basically covers every single live action Batman film that's ever came out. They've basically took scenes from each film, and even the Batman games, the Arkham games, and kind of combined it into like one singular story set in an open world Gotham that has dynamic crimes going on throughout the city. Basically, the things people have been wanting in an Arkham game for the past 10 years is going to be in a Lego game. And it looks fantastic. Like, some people roll their eyes whenever I talk about Lego games. They're fun, right? This is going to be the studio's biggest Lego game ever. And who doesn't love Batman? It has Batman Arkham style gameplay. I'm sorry, but that sounds amazing. Like, I'm going to be there day one for it. Logan, what do you think? Because, like, Legos, people always see Lego games and think, oh, it's a children's game. But they are so much fun, and this is essentially a new Arkham game just wrapped up in Lego.
Hey, I love the Lego games. Like I'm on that hill. Like I love them. Like the Lego Star Wars collection is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to experience the whole saga. Lego Lord of the Rings trilogy is incredible. Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, the Indiana Jones games, like they're so fun. It was like in this era where companies didn't want to fully commit to a full-on license type experience, but they did with Lego and like made some, you got to relive the highlights and then also kind of family friendly, and it was a good mix, and it was a nice intermediate step for absence of some full-blown licensed games. So I'm excited for this. Looks great. Hopefully they sprinkle in a little Batman Beyond in there. That'd be cool if they could, or make an Arkham Beyond game as well. But I'm down for this.
Yeah, it looked cool. And you mentioned Batman Arkham Beyond. You know that was a game in development at one point.
Oh come on!
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, we
man,
were gonna get a game set in the Arkham universe where you play as who was it? Was it Tim Drake?
wasn't it Terry?
Yeah, I
Or
think so. Yeah. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, either way, I'd take any Batman Beyond game. Uh, my God, what a cool premise for a video game as well. Cyberpunk Batman.
that sounds awesome.
But Warner Brothers, you never know. Warner Brothers is in a state at the minute, but that's a story for another day. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, one of the coolest announcements of the night. And by the way, all these trailers we're talking about cost almost up to $1 million for these companies to reveal. So you can imagine Crystal Dynamics and Amazon Game Studios may have been slightly annoyed when one of their Tomb Raider trailers was leaked on Twitter. Oof. So we actually got two trailers. They showed off Tomb Raider Catalyst, which is a brand new game set 10 years. Actually, I'll go into the timeline thing in a minute, but this game's coming out in 2027. There's going to be some sort of grappling hook in the game. But then we got an actual CGI trailer and gameplay trailer for Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which is coming coming to 20. I can't speak today. Coming to Xbox in 2026. My God, help me. Now the cool thing about this game is it's basically a reimagining of Tomb Raider 1. But it's also changing the continuity of the entire franchise. So, long story short, Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis is a follow up to Tomb Raider Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And basically after that, you have Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 3, 4, 5, 6. You also have, Angel of Darkness and all that stuff. Basically, all the Tomb Raider games from now on are going to be set in the same continuity, and Legacy of Atlantis connects it all together, which I think is really cool because, one, it'll actually make more sense, and two, the people that have complained for years saying the continuities are different and they're fighting what's better, the originals or the Survivor trilogy, well, now everyone wins and loses at the same time because it's all the same, which I love. It reminds me of the Star Trek Kelvin timeline, right? Star Trek fans were livid. And do you know what made that canon across everything? Star Trek Picard. Thank you very much. But yeah, Tomb Raider, it looked fantastic. Lara Croft, she looked phenomenal. Maybe the best version of Lara yet. I was always a fan of the Survivor trilogy, or Rise of the Tomb Raider Lara. She looked the most person-like, if that makes sense. But she looks fantastic here. She's going back to using her dual pistols. She's acrobatic, and there's an emphasis on exploration and solving tombs and all this stuff. And my God, like, I talk about Mass Effect all the time. I talk about Splinter Cell. I talk about Assassin's Creed. I absolutely love the Tomb Raider franchise, but we don't get new games that often. And this game looks fantastic. Fixing the continuities, I love. The design of her, fantastic. I was wondering why the voice actress sounds familiar. Turns out it's the actress that plays Taylor from Mass Effect 3, which was really cool. I will miss Camilla Luddington because I think she was the best Lara when it comes to the voice acting. But we'll see what happens next year with Taylor. And basically, Assassin's Creed. I keep saying Assassin's Creed for some reason. Basically, Tomb Raider Catalyst, which comes out in 2027, is going to be set 10 years after the Tomb Raider game that came out in the 2000s, which is also connecting all the continuities together. And that's why she looks older in that first trailer. So, hey, honestly, I think this is the best way to do it. They've connected the continuities. They're going back to what made Lara Croft Lara Croft. They've still kept her looking like Lara Croft. They couldn't have done a Tomb Raider announcement any better. And dinosaurs are back, right? if they ever reimagined Tomb Raider, I thought they would remove the dinosaurs. So that means in the same universe as the Survivor trilogy, there's dinosaurs. I love that. Logan, what do you think of the whole Tomb Raider thing? Because to me, it was the perfect way to announce Tomb Raider coming back.
Yeah, I was thrilled. Both of them I'm super excited for. Like you, Tomb Raider is one of my favorite franchises. Like I remember back in the day when we kept thinking, Embracer pulled a fast one on Square getting Tomb Raider for pennies on the dollar and all this and that. And it's just like, I love the Survivor trilogy. It's really, really good. And then the classic ones as well. So, them being able to, fit these into the timeline in a way that makes sense and carry it forward to where it's like older, but also sequel, it makes sense. And yeah, she looks phenomenal. She looks great. She looks like she's matured. She is, different stage, and she's like a veteran survivor now. And you can kind of tell there's a ruggedness and the gunplay, the acrobatics, the T-Rex being back, Atlantis. I can't wait for both of these. They look awesome, and I'm super excited. And yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, and again, we're getting back-to-back Tomb Raider games. And I don't know if I've said this before. I think Rise of the Tomb Raider is the best Tomb Raider game. Like I adore that game. The fact that that entire trilogy has Metroidvania elements in, which for me you need that in a Tomb Raider game going forward. Like unlocking different things for your bow and that. It just worked so well. Rise of the Tomb Raider, yeah, I think Rise of the Tomb Raider might actually be top 25 favorite games of all time for me. Love
Oh,
that
it's
game.
so good.
Yeah, brilliant game. And hopefully, and maybe I'm taking some hopium at the minute. I do think that Embracer will remaster that trilogy at some point, or give them next gen upgrades, because that first game, it's 60 FPS boost on Xbox at the minute, but it's 720p and it has bad artifacting around everything. Hopefully, we see something happen where we get 4K 60 across the board, maybe some HDR. But hey, Tomb Raider, it's in a good place right now. Very good place. Amazon Game Studios, Crystal Dynamics, Flying Wild Hog are making the reimagining. Like they make good.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, they make really cool games. They made Evil West and stuff. But yeah, Tomb Raider fans are going to be eating well. And also, there's a season 2 of the anime coming out. I haven't watched the anime yet. I probably will soon. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, this one was cool. Oh yeah, Invincible Verse has got a new trailer. I'm not really into fighting games anymore, but I'm sure I'll give that a go. Animo, which is a Korean-made creature taming capturing game. It's a Pokemon style game. Hopefully Nintendo didn't watch that trailer, because they can't be having that. But hey, it had some really cool K-pop in the background, capture some cute creatures, all that stuff. It looked like it could be chill.
It's exclusive for now, the Xbox, which is fun.
Oh, was it? I missed that.
Yeah, Jez tweeted that out the other day that they used the forbidden word exclusive for Xbox for at least a time. So it's interesting.
And I'm sure Nintendo will lose the marbles when they find out that game exists. Next up, we got a trailer for Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred. That's coming out in April, I believe. Brand new expansion. And there's also a new... Was it the Cleric class?
The Paladin, you get access to him immediately for Diablo 4. If you pre-order the new expansion, you can go ahead and play through the game as it was with the Paladin now.
Yeah, I like the look of that. Honestly, I've been taking a break from Diablo. I kind of want to go back to the game now when that character drops. I don't know if I'm going to pre-order the DLC, but like that character looks really cool. The fact that your shield acts like Thor's hammer, that really cool premise. Next up, we got a trailer for Marvel Rivals Deadpool. Deadpool is coming in 2026. Next up, we got a brand new trailer for 007 First Light, starring Lenny Kravitz as the antagonist. Why not? I'm looking forward to that game. That's basically my most anticipated game next year. Because I love James Bond. We just don't get Bond games basically ever anymore. But yeah, that looked cool. Next up, we got a brand new trailer for Lords of the Fallen 2, which was a gameplay trailer. And considering how much support that first game got, yeah, they're going to do some wonderful things with the sequel. Next up, we got a trailer for a game called No Law, right? Now, this piqued my interest within seconds because this is an open world, first person shooter role playing game set in the cyberpunk universe, right? So, I've been talking about how AAA gaming needs more cyberpunk games. And even though this is AA, I don't really care. This looks really cool. The funny thing is, I think Cyberpunk 2077 warped too many people's minds, and they don't realize that Cyberpunk is a subgenre of science fiction and not just a video game. You know, like we have things called Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, Akira.
Yeah, decades before.
Yeah, Elite Battle Angel, New Romancer. I could go on. I think that this game looks cool. It's coming out. I think it's coming out next year. But hey, there is by the way, I want to talk about this quickly. So I post screenshots of upcoming games on Twitter, and I posted screenshots for this game, No Law. There's a major error in one of the official screenshots, and I'm surprised the developers didn't pick up on it. So in a first-person shooter, you traditionally hold a gun with your right hand, and your hand is on the right side of the screen, right? Because that's how people are. In the official screenshots, the person's left hand is holding it on the right side of his body.
Man, that's odd.
Yeah, it's clearly an oversight. It's clearly some bug, but I'm sure they'll patch it out. But if people are interested, just search No Law official screenshots, and yeah, it's a left hand on the right side of the dude's body. I just thought that was funny. Again, that obviously won't be there when the game launches, but it was fun. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, big announcement. In this game, actually made me do a double take because I was getting ready to go make a drink, and I saw this really cool trailer, and I did a double take at the end because I couldn't believe my eyes. We got a brand new trailer for a new game called Total War Warhammer 40K. Now, normally, if a Total War trailer pops up, I kind of watch it and I think, wow, that was cool. And I never expect it to come to console. This has been going on for years, every single time. I don't even look at the end of the trailers for a console logo because it's Total War. Why would I expect it to come to console? So anyway, it's showing you all these space marines doing this really cool stuff, fighting in armies. And at the end of the trailer, at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, there's an Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5 logo. And I was like, there's no way I just saw console logos. So I had to actually rewind and zoom. And yeah, we're getting a Total War game on Xbox that's a 40k game. My God in heaven. Let's be honest, I whine about there being no RTS games on console. Or should I say, it's rare that we get them, right? I can think of 5 games, and that's it, that we have on console. And my jaw was on the floor. So, one, Total War Warhammer 40k. Clearly, Henry Cavill's happy somewhere, and I am happy because we're getting a Total War game on console. Never thought I'd see the day, ever. Logan, what do you think? Because I know you like RTS games as well, but we don't see them basically ever on console, and we're getting Total War finally on an Xbox.
Yeah, this is huge news. Like, I remember growing up, I always wanted Total War on console, but it just never happened.
Yeah.
Like, there's Total War Rome, Shogun, all the different spin-offs and versions. And what you can get on GOG, by the way, for dirt cheap right now, if you have interest in those. And yeah, 40K makes perfect sense for this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Star Wars Total War at some point as well. That there's a rumor that's happening in addition to this. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. But yeah, this is totally makes sense. It looks awesome. Can't wait to try it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, by the way, did you say Star Wars game?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's been rumors for I want to say like 6 months or so that there's going to be a Total War Star Wars game, but there's also been a rumor going around that there's a Star Wars RTS in development. But I haven't really ever been able to pinpoint whether that's the same game. um, but they are a big studio. They are currently making Alien Isolation 2. So we will see. But hey, as a fan of RTS games on console, and as someone that's been wanting sci-fi games, more sci-fi games on console, man, I can't believe it, man. Total War of all RTS games coming to Xbox. Hopefully, it plays well on a control pad, but I'm guess we'll find out in the future. Now, I missed this game completely because again, I went to make a drink and I was ecstatic of seeing Warhammer 40k Total War coming to Xbox. Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thave. Weird name. Yeah, coming out next year. I never even thought we would see an 8th game because like the last game, as far as I know, didn't sell too well. And they always push like the best graphics humanly possible on a console with these titles. This game looks basically photorealistic. The stories are always a bit out there when it comes to Ace Combat. They never make sense, but they kind of really good at the same time. They basically they go over the top with exposition, which is very popular with anime, and they do an anime style storytelling in a game that's photorealistic. It's weird, but it just works. But yeah, that's coming next year. I'll be all over that day one. Logan, do you like Ace Combat?
I don't think I've actually played Ace Combat, to be honest.
Yeah, it is a very niche genre, and I hope it gets maybe a demo or something. Next up, a new Star Wars game was announced, so we got 2 in one show, and it starts showing you pod races, all these different small vehicles in Star Wars, and yeah, Star Wars Galactic Racer coming to Xbox in 2026. I never thought.
Sebulba.
Sorry, what'd you say?
It has Sebulba in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I completely missed that until the last time I saw it. I did not expect a brand new Star Wars racing game ever. And yeah, I think a lot of that game's going to be pretty popular. I'm sure it'll have cross-player, multiplayer, and all that stuff. But man, just think of all the different ways you're going to be able to customize your vehicles. And also, this is being made by developers that worked on the Burnout games.
Oh, dude, this is gonna have so much destruction. It's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
So like you're going to be driving these like pod races and racing vehicles like hundreds and hundreds of miles an hour, and you're just going to smash into rocks and see like little tiny parts of engine pieces fly all over the place. Right? You couldn't have better developers make a Star Wars pod racing game. I'm just going to keep calling it pod racing. But
I mean, it is.
yeah, it is essentially just a pod racing game. But we haven't had a pod racing game since
N64.
yeah, N64, yeah. And my god, like Star Wars Pod Racer N64, I must have put thousands of hours into that. And this was before online PvP. So like PvP is going to be nuts. And I'm sure there'll be a campaign like previous Star Wars racing games, but man, yeah, of all Star Wars games, like I could expect RTS games. I could expect first-person shooters, third-person shooters, RPGs. But for some reason, I never thought we would see a new Star Wars racing game. But yeah, Logan, I know you were obviously ecstatic of this because you love Star Wars. Of all games, I just never saw a new Star Wars racing game coming.
Yeah, like you, I was not expecting a pod racer follow up type game. I know that they've done some vehicular games in the past, like with squadrons and a few other things, but they've kind of been less mainstream. as the other titles and genres. So I'm excited and I will definitely jump in. I'm all for all things Star Wars. So I will definitely be getting that.
Yeah, and plus it's former Burnout devs. They're gonna go
I mean,
nuts.
yeah, the destructibility, the crash outs, the maybe if there's a rewind ability, like if like instead of the rewind ability, maybe you're force sensitive and you can do something or to affect somebody else's machine or whatever. Like there's all kinds of fun things they could do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have seen a lot of people, they actually did miss the fact that there was a Star Wars racing game there. Because it didn't look like Star Wars when I first started. And then, the camera pans out and it's a Star Destroyer. I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. But yeah, I don't think anyone expected a Star Wars racing game in 2026 of all games. But hey, I'll take it. That means next year we're getting 2 Star Wars games minimum. We're getting Zero Company and Galactic Racer. So,
OG 360 era, we're back.
oh
I
yeah,
love it.
like finally we don't have to wait like 5 years in between games. Um, let's see we have next. Oh, Mega Man Dual Override is coming out in 2027. It's a new Mega Man game. Capcom, they clearly lean on the old IP again. They will lean on any old IP that isn't Dino Crisis.
I know it's criminal.
Like, don't get me wrong, Mega Man, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna sell well when it comes out. Mega Man's huge, but it just seems they're sidestepping anything like related to Dino Crisis. Like, come on, right? You see what Leon looks like and all these zombies look like in in Resident Evil now. Like, can you imagine Dino Crisis with those graphics? My God. Hopefully one day. Solo Leveling Arise Overdrive. What a name, by the way. Is coming to Xbox Series consoles in 2026. It's currently on PC, I believe. Looks really cool if you like anime and stuff, anime action games. And then the last game, by the way, we still have topics to go over quickly after this. The last game they announced, and Jeff Keighley hyped this game up, saying, we have developers that have worked on the Titanfall series and Apex Legends and making this brand new game. The crowd went nuts. I went nuts. I'm thinking, former Titanfall devs, this is going to be interesting. And then they showed off this first-person fantasy hero-based co-op shooter. Now, since the game was revealed, there's been this huge backlash online, people losing the marbles, saying it's the worst thing since sliced bread or whatever. I by the way, that's one of my things. I mess up analogies.
It's the best thing since sliced bread. So it would be it would be the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's one of my things. I mess up analogies. I just can't help it. But people have been complaining about this game, thinking, why do we need a new hero shooter? I actually get both sides. You see Titanfall devs, you think you're gonna get something Titanfall-esque, right? And then you see that, and it's like, I'm actually looking forward to giving it a go. It is a free-to-play game, but that also threw other people off as well, thinking, okay, so it's a free-to-play hero shooter. How's that going to be monetized? I'm not going to judge until I play it, but I can see both sides. Like, Logan, I'm guessing you were not remotely interested in this.
Nah, this was a hit the snooze button one for me.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him. I hope it does well, but yeah, it's nothing of interest to me. And honestly, I think it almost does a disservice to some of these studios and games. Where if you say veterans of this or this title, and you build an expectation, and then the game you show off is nothing like those at all, you're gonna get a whole bunch of people, rightly or wrongly, very angry at them for it clearly not being anything like the thing that they are accrediting to their resume. Like, fair or not, it puts a vibe out there, and so it's like, this is clearly not Titanfall. This is what is this stuff you're putting out here, and people get mad.
Yeah. Like, look, I always talk about how I don't like PvP. I don't like bad monetization practices. And honestly, when it comes to free-to-play games, for the most part, I can't really name any that I've had a really good experience with. Like, not really. You know, like I don't play Halo Infinite multiplayer just because I don't do PvP. I don't play Apex because I don't do PvP. You know what? I'll actually take that back. I do play Warzone, and I actually think what they've done with the Battle Pass is fair. It's mainly cosmetics. You do get a bunch of guns. The best guns this time around do seem to be in the Battle Pass, by the way. Like Black Ops 7, I see what you're doing. But I really like Warzone. So, like, I will give it a go. But I just feel like people are getting tired of online connectivity when it comes to video games, which is kind of funny to say in 2025 because, like, it is 2025. We should be connected to or be used to everything being connected. But, like, I just think people have had enough, you know. But all in all, they had a bunch of cool games there. I enjoyed the show. You know, Jeff Keighley gets a lot of crap. And he does tend to overhype some games. Like he did the same a couple of years ago for a Fast and the Furious video game, which was the last game of the show. And this time around, it was like, why didn't they have Star Wars last? I don't get it. It boggles the mind.
That or Divinity should have been last. One of those.
Either one of those two games, like people would have lost the marbles. But yeah, started off great, ended flat. Kind of like a pint left out. Anyway, let's get into the other topics. You know, it was a good show. Jeff Keighley, like I said, he gets a lot of crap, but it was fun. Okay, next up we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. Finally got a demo on Xbox. It shadow dropped today. And I think a lot of people should be really happy because people didn't think this was going to happen ever, you know, and it launches on Xbox next month. And by the way, for people that are watching, you'll have noticed there's gameplay for Final Fantasy in the background. Not right now, it's Star Trucker, but during the podcast, there's gameplay. I've played it. I played the whole demo. I had a huge smile on my face because, one, I was thinking, finally, after 5,000 years of waiting, we finally have Final Fantasy VII Remake on an Xbox. And two, it's damn good. It is so good. One, the visuals, spectacular. I'm playing it on performance mode. The only thing that looks different is actually Cloud's hair when you zoom in on his face. So, like, I wouldn't even advise putting it in quality mode. I don't think there's much point, right? It looks sharp in performance. It looks great. The lighting's great. Everything. The gameplay. I did not expect the gameplay to be like how it is, in a good way. I was expecting it to be like Crisis Core. It's action packed. It's a good game. It's the opening section of the game. It's good. I'm very happy as a Final Fantasy fan, and just hearing all the music cues from the original, but done more recently with a real orchestra and stuff. I couldn't be happier. So it took me about 51 minutes to go through the entire demo. Progress does carry over to the main game when it releases next month. And I think you do unlock some item. People have been saying online you do unlock something for the main game. Now, I will say this. I just played through this on normal. There's a bunch of different difficulties and stuff. If you want, you can actually kickstart your save off with a bunch of gil and just a bunch of different items. So, like, if you want to play this just for the story, it's got that there. I think this is going to be good for all kinds of players. Veterans of Final Fantasy, newcomers. They've made it very approachable. And the combat is super easy to learn. It's not like Final Fantasy 16 where you have to remember combos and stuff and like have certain magic spells tied to your character at any given time. It's literally one button to attack and one button to change your stance. That's literally it. And you select your skills and magic from a literal list of skills and magic. So I think a lot of people on Xbox are going to love this game. Super easy to get into. and as someone that played the original Final Fantasy VII, it's perfect. It's perfect. Logan, I know you may have not had time to play the demo, but yeah, it's finally out, man.
I'm so happy, man. Like this went from not a chance and happening to an Ice Cube's chance to oh my gosh, it's finally happening, and I just can't wait. One question I do have is, does the progress carry over from the
Yeah,
demo, or
yeah, yeah.
okay, it does. Okay, yeah, for sure. Downloading that tonight. Then let's go.
Yeah, it's if I remember correctly, it's like 16 gigabytes.
Okay,
Progress carries over to the main game when it releases. Uh, I've said like people have said online that you unlock some item for the main game. Although I didn't see that on the menu, maybe I missed it. But man, like I talk all the time about games that perform bad and maybe look bad because some games launch in a weird state. This game is beautiful. Like again, I'm playing on performance mode. This game is beautiful. Like it might be one of the best looking games out. Like I know that they've done
that's awesome and great news.
yeah, like I know that they've changed the game since its original launch on PlayStation. Like it has more detail with the PC version. We'll probably have to wait for Digital Foundry to post about it, but it feels like I'm playing the PC version just because of how certain textures look. Because I've seen the PC version played before, like how Cloud's armor looks, like how he has the screws sticking out of his shoulder armor. Well, in the PC version on Ultra, you can make out all the detail on those individual screws, right? I know it's a stupid small detail, but they've clearly went all in on performance and visuals because when I played it on quality, it looked great, but I was playing it at 30. But when I put it on performance, it just played amazing and looked amazing at the same time. So, yeah, developers did a fantastic job with the Xbox versions of this. I know they did a really good version with the Switch version as well, the Switch 2 version. People are going to be very happy with this. Like, really happy. And you switch between characters, right? So for people that don't know, if I can't have access to a certain game yet and I still need to cover it, I'll just read up about it. In the game, you can actually play as the other characters, right? So you have to switch between Barrett and Cloud at certain parts, and if you play as Barrett, you also have the minigun on your arm. There's gameplay on screen right now where you're aiming at ranged enemies up a height, while Cloud can't aim that high with his sword. So like you have to go back between the characters and use their different movesets. It's not difficult or anything. It's just a really cool thing you do.
Oh, it makes sense. Like if a ranged enemy, you use Barrett, and then someone comes up close, you switch to Cloud, or
Yeah,
you need offense for one, defense for the other. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. And again, so someone that's only played the original Final Fantasy VII, you start off breaking into the Mako reactor facility, and I've played that part of the game originally like a million times. Right, I know what that Mako facility looks like in the back of my head. Right, just seeing it all in 3D remade, and yeah, people could say, but it's been out for 5 years. Doesn't matter. It's new to me. Incredible, just incredible. I'm gonna be giddy talking about this game for months when it comes out. So prepare yourselves. Great game, really great game. And yeah, progress carries over. It's 16 gigabytes. My God, and this is going to be a lot of people's like first Final Fantasy game on Xbox. They are in for a treat. But yeah, that's out now. Hope people have fun with that. Let's see. We're going to talk about the RAM shortages, but we'll save that for another day. Look, the entire industry is going to be suffering from the RAM shortages for a very long time now. We can hold off for a while. The Call of Duty situation we'll talk about quickly. So Call of Duty Black Ops 7 apparently hasn't had the launch it needed because they put out a statement basically straight away. And this is a good thing. This is actually a good thing. They put out a statement acknowledging that, the players' feedback, and I think us getting Modern Warfare 2 years in a row and then Black Ops 2 years in a row, it's kind of killing hype, Um, I think people are getting a bit tired of it, and I think Logan might remember me saying this, that I've always thought that they would be too afraid to move away from Modern Warfare or Black Ops. They've clearly listened to feedback, because apparently Sledgehammer's next game is not going to be set in either of those universes. So this is good news, because if people didn't react the way they did, we'd probably get Black Ops and Modern Warfare every 2 years for the end of time. So this is a good thing. It means we could maybe see an Infinite Warfare 2, or just some new universe, which I'm all for. And I'm a big campaign guy when it comes to Call of Duty. I know I'm like part of the 0.1% that do, but I want new universes. I want fresh ideas. And Call of Duty, they've had great campaigns before. Like, I'm not saying Black Ops 7's bad. I'm actually really enjoying Black Ops 7. But as someone that plays Warzone, let me tell you, I do not like Black Ops 7's weapons in any capacity. They work great in the campaign for the kinds of enemies you fight, but for Warzone, personally, not for me. But this is good Call of Duty news. It means we're going to get fresh ideas, different ideas, and yeah, like Logan, what do you take from this? Because you don't play Call of Duty multiplayer, but as a campaign person, what do you think about them actually having games out in the future that aren't Black Ops or Modern Warfare?
I think it's great because I love franchises and I love stability in that regard, but I also like for them to have some other stuff too, to where you can dabble in this genre versus that, or this setting and that one. And I think especially when it comes to shooters that have some semblance of realism, like for, war stuff, like I think having different eras represented or revisited from time to time is good. Like if they did, some more Vietnam era or World War II even, or Korean, or they could even like you said, like Infinite Warfare, I think is criminally slept on.
Oh yeah,
It's basically the Expanse game, but not the Expanse. Like, I would love another one. I liked Ghosts. I'm one of the 5 people who like that game. I would love to see a Ghost 2, or gosh dang it, the Advanced Warfighter. Like, I like that one too, Advanced Warfare. So give me something else in those universes.
yeah. Uh, I'll take anything different. Like, look, Infinite Warfare. Every time I bring up that game, do you know people in the replies are like, "But the multiplayer is terrible." I don't care. I want a campaign. Like,
That Starship was so cool.
yeah. Oh my god. You know, every time I talk about Infinite Warfare, I just want to reinstall it and play it again. It's
It's so good.
yeah, it's such a satisfying game. But and honestly, and this might be a bit far fetched, but I don't care. I honestly don't see why Call of Duty can't just do different campaigns from the multiplayer. Like, let's be
Like
honest.
Halo it now.
Yeah, like let's be honest, right? Halo, it's not Halo. Let's be honest. Call of Duty's multiplayer. People are get a bit tired, not tired, but they don't want the futuristic stuff anymore. And World War II seems a bit played out. So like, I don't understand why we can't have a relatively safe multiplayer and just go absolutely crazy with the campaign. Because most of the guns that are in multiplayer, you don't see in the campaigns anyway. So like, what exactly are they using? The map assets? Maybe that's a bit outlandish. I don't know, but I'm just happy to see Call of Duty in the future. They're going to be different because look, next year's Modern Warfare, I'm sure it's going to be good, and it's actually going to be a full size Modern Warfare. But this back-to-back thing that they've been doing, it just doesn't work. But hey, they acknowledged it. Activision actually acknowledged it, which is good. Let's see what we got next. Oh yeah, so Spider-Man's in the title. Now, Sony had huge success when it came to Helldivers, and like, why wouldn't people like Helldivers? Right? You fight aliens and robots on planets with alien. Well, you fight aliens and robots on alien planets with machine guns and stuff. Like, Logan doesn't even like multiplayer, and he got it right.
Yeah, it's fun.
And people love that game. It was number 1 on the Xbox store in the UK, US. I think it was in Germany, Spain as well. So people clearly like Helldivers, and that game's going to get content for years. Like I think the developers said they don't really have plans for a third game. They're just going to keep supporting this one, which I think is a really cool thing. Like if you're Sony, like you've really had to have noticed, like the jump in revenue, right? You have Marathon coming out in March. I keep getting the names of these games mixed up, so if I mess up, just acknowledge I know what I'm talking about. I'm just messing up the names. Marathon's coming out in March, and whether people want to hate on that game or not, I do think it'll actually do pretty well. But like, I think we do actually see a reality where in the next several months we do see more titles from Sony, right? Yeah, they're still doing the exclusive thing, but they are dabbling more in the whole PC launch day one. So you have that fighting game, what's it called? Marvel Torcon. I think that's what it's called. That game's going to be on PC and PlayStation day one. There's rumors of them doing a PC storefront, which means you'd have games day one. So they're going to continue to dabble in multi-platform releases. Like, there's been rumors for the past several months that you're going to see Horizon Forbidden West on Xbox. I don't think that's far-fetched. That's a big franchise for Sony. They putting other titles in that universe out with that the mobile MMO. There's also a new online game, which I don't think they've shown yet. And that game will probably be big as well. Horizon's huge on PlayStation. But when it comes to Spider-Man, the reason why that makes the most sense is because, if you Marvel, right, you want these games everywhere. We don't know if there's something in their contract saying that these games have to go to other platforms after a certain time. Because, again, Blade for Xbox, is that only going to be on Xbox as of now? Apparently, yes. But Sony doesn't own the rights to... Sony doesn't own the rights to Spider-Man as a IP. They own the movie rights and the current game rights. So we don't know the whole story with Spider-Man, but if anything is going to come over at some point, it's going to be Spider-Man or Days Gone. And you don't have an entire division of people working at Sony that for multi-platform development unless they're going to bring more games over. They have Nix's software, which makes ports, good ports, and they clearly know what they're doing. So, you'd have that team bring more games over. And I have seen, maybe they've pulled back on the decisions and stuff when it comes to that stuff. Anything can change. But, Logan, what do you think of all this stuff? Because, if you're Sony and you see how much money you made off Helldivers, and Helldivers is huge, that was, a big meme last year. The robots between, democracy and stuff. Do you think we will actually see maybe Days Gone or Spider-Man in the future?
Yes. I mean, just put it bluntly, I think Spider-Man, even a port of the first Spider-Man, let alone Miles Morales or 2, would fund a significant game or significantly fund a new first-party title for Sony. It would sell like hotcakes on Xbox. Days Gone is criminally underrated. I love it. I have the collector's edition of it. Really good game. And it deserves more love, and I'd buy that again if it came to Xbox. I hope they do for those, and then maybe dust off the spider webs on some of their older IPs, a Ratchet and Clank, a Killzone, a Resistance. Try some other stuff too, because there's money to be made there.
Yeah,
and Sony likes money, so
yeah. I mean, you look at Gears, what was it called? Gears of War Reloaded. That went on PlayStation. I'm surprised that's not on Switch yet, but there's money to be had on older games. In the past, when I've said these games are sitting on a server gathering dust, some people take that literally. By the way, no, these games, they do sell, but before all this multi-platform stuff, a year ago, 2 years ago almost, I was saying on this podcast. Not that I'm some Nostradamus or anything I can predict the future. I was thinking Sea of Thieves would go elsewhere because it's clear that these games, and all games, they have a max ceiling of people getting into the platform to play the game. So, like, if you have a live service such as a Sea of Thieves, why wouldn't you put it elsewhere? You know, but that's where people say, what about single player games? Well, single player games, like, you make more money of putting them on more platforms after an extended period of time. Because look, who's buying a PlayStation right now to play Spider-Man if they had no intention before? The same goes for Xbox, right? Who was buying a new Xbox in 2025, 2024, 2023 to play Gears of War Ultimate Edition? I can't imagine that number being in the double digits, right? So there's money to be had there. These companies aren't stupid, and some people take this as to offense, by the way. Some people get way wrapped up in the feelings of loving plastic too much. It's like, no, these companies, none of these companies are our friends. They just want to make money. That's all it is. Doesn't matter if it's Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Hell, I mean, Nintendo copyrights actual gameplay mechanics. you know,
Oh,
um,
they love money the most.
yeah. So like, we will see, but I do think it will happen, and they'll look, if they put Spider-Man on Xbox, Sony's going to make tens of millions of dollars in the first day. Crazy numbers. And you also look at from the console perspective on Xbox, we don't have an open world Spider-Man game that you could play and buy right now. The only Spider-Man game you can actually play on Xbox right now is The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it was delisted in, I think, 2015 or 2016. So yeah, there's money to be had there. We'll quickly end on the whole Elder Scrolls thing. So Todd Howard was asked about Fallout 5 once again. Didn't really have anything to say, but he did say when it came to Elder Scrolls 6 that them actually have multiple games in development at the same time. In the past, they've been heavy in development with one game at a time, maybe DLC with a different one, but it really sounds like I think people from Microsoft have finally gotten the hint in Bethesda, right? We can't be having one game a decade by this studio. Why would you? There's money to be had there. A lot of people would buy a new Elder Scrolls game and a new Fallout game in the same generation. And that's what I got from this interview. They finally got the hint, right? Game development has taken way too long now. So if you can have a Elder Scrolls game, maybe not once every 12 years, maybe once every 5 or 6, right? Because we haven't had a new Elder Scrolls game since 2011. Crazy. So that's what I got from this interview, which actually gives me more hope to thinking that maybe Fallout 5 isn't a 2032 game. Maybe we'll actually see it this decade. I'm not even joking, right? I know I could be a bit of a pessimist when it comes to video game development at the minute, and I have done for a while. But I got from this interview that maybe they're actually looking at maybe other studios helping out, maybe getting other studios to make games. Because realistically, if you Microsoft and you Bethesda, do you really want to have another 10 years, 12 years, 13 years in between the next Elder Scrolls games? I'm betting not. Logan, what do you think? Because to me, that's what I got from the interview.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they clearly need more teams or more manpower or both for Fallout and for Skyrim. I mean, not yeah, I mean Elder Scrolls. And clearly they've heard the cries for the games and they're working on them, and it sounds like it's going very well for Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout stuff, and I'm super excited. And I'm still gonna go on a limb and say I think Elder Scrolls 6 launches with next gen, but that's just me.
Yeah, I do think that. And we'll end it with this topic, which we'll try and keep brief so people can get to whatever they want to do. There's been talk about Xbox next generation consoles for years now. Like, it feels like Microsoft they've had to confirm like 50 times that they are working on new hardware. Like, nobody's talking about next gen PlayStation stuff because there's no need to, right? But people keep asking Microsoft, "Are you making another console? Are you sure you're making another console?" So they've had to talk about it nonstop. And like Logan, from your perspective, and I know you have your ROG Xbox Ally, like from your console perspective, do you really want a new console right now?
A straight up just Xbox console, no. I'm not ready for one. I still think they got some more cooking to do.
because like I was sitting playing Arc Raiders. You know, graphically that is just ridiculous how it looks and performs. But like I was playing, I'm thinking, I've never really thought this generation, wow, this game is blurry. Or like I wish the performance was better. Like, yeah, you have unoptimized games sometimes, but like I've never once thought, wow, this game could look better and perform better. I don't really think we need consoles just yet. Right? This generation got off to a rocky start because we're all stuck on the house in the house, and a lot of games got delayed. Hell, like most offices in the UK were shut during a year and a half of the pandemic, right? So those developers weren't putting out games, they weren't making games, and it took a while for this generation to feel like it was going. And now, like this year has been incredible. Like Microsoft, they've put out like what 10 games this year, or like 8 games or something. I'll have to check, but like Microsoft, they've had to confirm 50 times that they're working on next gen hardware, which is cool. We know what's happening. And there's been people theorizing that it was going to be 2026. And like even I was on team 2026, and then it came out in the FTC report that their next gen console was coming out in 27 or 28. I think with everything going on right now, with the RAM shortages and all this stuff, I think next gen is something we're maybe not going to hear about for a while. Like a while. Because, like, so I got a text off one of my friends yesterday telling me that the RAM he bought for his PC 3 years ago is now costing £500. Like, you can buy an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 for the price of RAM. Right? You know, like Logan, you're lucky you got your ROG Xbox Ally when you did, because the RAM apocalypse is now.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have it and grateful.
Yeah, and like now RAM's going for maybe like half the price of one of those things, right? Crazy. And for people that don't know, there's basically 3 or 4 companies on Earth that make RAM modules, which they sell to other companies such as Corsair and stuff, Samsung. And basically, one of these few companies has said that in the second quarter of next year, they are no longer going to supply RAM modules to consumer electronics products, i.e., consoles, graphics cards, PCs, TVs, laptops. Basically, every device on Earth that gets made now needs to have RAM. So, if you're Microsoft, if you're Sony, Nintendo may have probably stockpiled it. Like, putting out a new console, a new generation console, anytime soon is not on the tables, right? Not on the table whatsoever, because like you can't, like even Phil Spencer said, you can't put out a new console costing $1,000, right? And we've seen multiple price hikes this generation. Some people want to blame tariffs, some people want to blame the RAM stuff. I'm just saying prices going up in general is bad for the consumer. I think, and I might be wrong about this, I think that maybe 2027 is like, at the minimum, the most realistic year a next gen console comes out. I think gamers are actually happy with their hardware. Games perform great, look great. Like, look at the Series S, right? The Series S is considered a budget console, but you have amazing looking games on there. There's games on that console that run at 120 frames per second, right? So the way I see it is that next gen's going to take a back seat while this whole RAM situation sorted out. In the meantime, they're going to make next gen even better. And like you said, we'll probably launch with something like the Elder Scrolls 6. And like Sony, they came out with a mid-gen refresh a year ago, so like they pretty far away from launching their next console. So like I think next gen is taking a bit of a backseat. Like, Logan, do you think I might be right on this?
Yeah, I think there's good points to be had there about, the RAM apocalypse that's happening and then tariffs and, people looking at Vietnam and some other countries for potentially moving, some manufacturing and other stuff for these tech pieces. And man, my goodness, like what in hindsight a disaster it was to only have like 3 people that know how to make this stuff. Like this seems rather problematic now. And I hope they get it figured out, but I'm very glad I got the ally when I did. And yeah, good luck to anybody trying to make any major tech moves in the next year or two.
Yeah. And before we end, I'll mention this. So my PC is specifically for video editing and streaming, doing this podcast, right? It's not a fancy PC. It doesn't have like the best graphics card or anything. It has literally what I need to process and render video. My PC has 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's not super fancy RAM. It's DDR4 with a bunch of numbers next to it. But basically, that RAM about 6 months ago cost around £48. It costs 200 today. £48 RAM 5 months ago costs £200 today. And bear
That's
in mind,
psycho.
yeah, and bear in mind, I got this PC, if I remember correctly, in 2021, right? And it wasn't new RAM then. So like, people are going nuts for it. It's all these big companies such as Google and all this stuff. Well, not even Google, like Facebook and all this stuff, like this AI bubble, which I call it. They're chasing all this AI stuff. So like, they need RAM. They need all these server centers filled with RAM, and it's just a messy situation. It really is. Hopefully things change. I have seen a lot of people ask this past week, like, why can't more companies make RAM? I don't know the intricacies of making RAM, like, but I'm guessing it's pretty difficult. But hopefully something happens in the next few months, because look, if you've been on the market for not just even a console or PC, like even a TV, right? TVs next year are going to shoot up in price, right? Handheld PC game consoles are going to shoot up in price. Like Nintendo's debating raising the price of their Switch, right? So like, if there's an electronics good you've been after, maybe try and get it earlier. Like I'm on the market to get a TV, right? If I get a TV this time next year, the same TV might cost £500 more. Kind of crazy, really, if you think about it. But anyway, that's it for today. Logan, have you got anything else to say before we close out the show?
Nah, great stuff as always, man.
Yeah, we've been a bit of a long show today, but the Game Awards took up basically half the show. Anyway, everyone in chat has been amazing outside of the 1 or 2 fanboys we've had, but it's always a good time over here, super chill, and I never understand why people get super angry in the chat. Like, it's meant to be chill. Have a good time here. Relax. There's way too much crap on social media in the real world. It's like, take things way too seriously. Just relax. Now, next week should be our final show. Depending on what times we can both do it. Like, Logan, are you good for this time next week, or?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, but with it being a Christmas show, maybe we'll keep it a shorter episode and all that stuff, and we'll talk about some things we couldn't talk about today. But anyway, everyone in chat's been amazing. We'll be back for a new episode next week, which will be the last episode of the year. I should have a new video drop by the end of the week. It's a big one. I think people might like it, and I hope you pay attention to it and enjoy it. Anyway, we'll see you next week, everyone. We're out. Peace.